Hey everybody, how are you? This is an unboxing of the Specdrums trigger system, Bluetooth finger trigger system. This was a Kickstarter campaign. I'm a big Kickstarter guy, and there are a few problems with the early adoption of stuff, which is what Kickstarter is kind of like based on. At its core, Kickstarter is a community of early adopters. People who want to support new tech and new innovation directly. I guess I am a bit of an early adopter, but I don't want to be because there's a lot of issues with being an early adopter. Kickstarter is this thing where I kind of get addicted. I love going through it and I see all this cool stuff and the idea and the concepts are so great that I get excited and I jump on board. And then when it's delivered, I'm oftentimes a little disappointed because it's either delivered really late, because these are usually small players, individual entrepreneurs, entrepreneurial teams that come up with something and then from scratch they build it. So the bigger players have this kind of like down packed, right? They've been doing this for years, so they know the channels really, really well. But these smaller players, they always bottleneck, especially when it comes to the manufacturing and distribution. So oftentimes Kickstarter campaigns go longer than what they're estimated. And sometimes there's other better things in the market by the time you get the thing that you supported on Kickstarter. The second thing is when something super innovative comes out, Kickstarter entrepreneurs sometimes try to push it out quickly to be first to market, and it's not fully honed. The bugs aren't completely fixed and it hasn't been beta tested properly, so you get something that is a bit disappointing. I was really, really, really excited about this. This is a audio controller. Came in a yellow envelope with a relatively cheap box. Even the printing isn't super crisp, so you can tell that they saved some money here, which is totally fine. Specdrums.com. So let's open it up and see what we got. It's a pretty large box for what this actually is, and what this actually is a couple of cables, a little mini jack cable here, a couple of booklets and manuals. Now the instruction manual is pretty in depth, has a lot of sections like customizing, setup, a lot of information, but none of it applies because a lot of this stuff actually isn't in the app. Maybe it was in the first version of the app when they printed this, or maybe they're going to be adding a lot of this stuff, but a lot of it just does not apply, especially the advanced instructions. A lot of these indicators don't even exist in the app, or I can't find them. Like this thing called sloping, it asks you to swipe from the right over and you get this this black surface where you can do all this stuff. It's not there. It doesn't exist. There's a couple of icons here in the manual that actually I cannot find in the actual app, like this microphone doesn't exist. So this manual, outside of the initial setup, which is the first couple of pages getting started, is really useless. A USB charger with two ends, because I purchased two Specdrums, and the Specdrums themselves, which are pretty tiny. So this box is pretty large for this product, but whatever. So here they are. This is the Specdrum. It's a little ring that you wear on your finger, and you download an app. And then you set it up through Bluetooth. And basically, this little guy gets tapped onto a surface with color. And that color can be programmed to any note with almost any instrument. And it has a crazy amount of synth selections, and I assume it'll eventually have a lot of So the drums came with this little carry case, which is actually feels pretty cheap. Looks like a generic Chinese-made carry case. It's actually too small to fit everything you want it to fit. Like the manual doesn't fit inside. But the wires and the rings themselves do. Also comes with this little sticker with 4 color circles that you can use as a color palette to play some music on. So this is how I think the Specdrum works. There's a little LED light inside that is surrounded by a sensor that triggers the light once the ring is struck to a surface. The light then flashes, and the color that bounces from the surface of whatever it is you've tapped bounces back up into the sensor, which is the other square right beside the LED light. And then your cell phone, I guess, makes the calculations, determines what color it is, and what sound that color is connected to on your app, and then links those together, and boom, you get a sound. And conveniently, this box actually has a color palette on the back. So you can actually use this box as an instrument. And they say the battery lasts about 8 hours with moderate use. I don't know why they would say that. Why not just say the battery lasts 4 hours with constant use? Successfully, it charged, but it took a bit of force to get the mini USB connector inside the little ring itself. So I charged them, and then I downloaded the app. I registered, and then I started playing with it. And in all honesty, my first experience with it was super frustrating. It wasn't working properly. The sounds didn't sound nice. The instrument sounded weird. I turned it off. I started it again, and I started playing with it. The Bluetooth connection kept cutting out, and you can have 1 to 10, I guess, maybe 20 if you want to use your toes. As soon as I would set one up, it would show 3 or 4 set up right away. And then I would set the other one up, and it would work for maybe a minute, and then one of them would cut out. So it reads this little mat here I have as the D color, and it reads my shirt as purple and lighter purple. But already I've lost the connection. Already I've lost the Bluetooth connection with one of my rings. It shows that I'm connected there, but I've lost the connection. Now it's gone. So I'm going to click it again. And now it's come back, but it shows that I have 3 rings, when in fact I only have 2. I have to set it up again, cut out, set it up again. It was really frustrating. So frustrating that I was like, this is a horrible product, I'm done with it. Luckily I had the time and the energy to shut off the app and restart it a couple of times, and then play with it for a good chunk of time. And towards the end, it was working fine. But that first experience, that first like half an hour playing with it was super frustrating. Nothing was working. It felt like it was a dinky product that was kind of a great, it felt like an amazing idea that was executed too fast and maybe with crazy budget restraints. So I was really disappointed. And then when it did start working, I was like, man, this is kind of cool. But in its ideal scenario, it could be used as a sampler. However, again, like I said, I haven't been able to find the microphone that is highlighted in the beginner's guide to be able to record my own sounds. And I don't know how to import sounds into the application. But it's got stuff like voices, for example, and you can see how this could potentially be used as a sampler. For the serious musician, this might be a little too early for these. Maybe a couple of updates of the app, maybe a couple of generations into this, I could see on stage use. But right now, I wouldn't trust these on stage. I wouldn't trust these in a live scenario, though I think this is what it's meant for. For the tinkerer and the hobbyist, or for the person who wants to just have two little instruments in their pocket connected to their phone while they're waiting in a doctor's office to like just play around with, these are awesome. I can also see this for artists, performance artists, or noise music artists, experimental music artists who might not care so much about total accuracy or being too tight with their performance, because these sometimes felt like they were just doing random stuff and they weren't super accurate. But they are really fun, and again, for like performance artists, I think this is like ideal. I think this is kind of what it was designed for. Like yesterday, I was playing my one of my dad's paintings on the wall, and I was like running around the house and like playing. This works with color, right? So I could see some performance artists doing some really cool stuff with this. But again, I don't know if I would trust this technology in a professional setting. And that's the issue with early adoption, is like you get these incredible ideas in your hand and you just want them to work perfectly, and you want to play with them, and you want to like realize their full potential. But you know, this is the first iteration of this. So it's a bit of a test, right? Even though it's gone to market and I paid for this, right now it's still kind of just a little toy that sometimes works and sometimes doesn't. But they're really fun, and I'm actually kind of excited to have them with me when I travel and when I'm bored, just to like, you know, play around with. I wish it had a function to record stuff, press record on that and just play stuff and see what happens. But also it comes with a mini jack, headphone jack, a pretty decent one, to be connected to speakers and to maybe an external recording machine.